Hello and welcome back to Shining Force 2. I think I'm honestly in the previous in Shining Force 1, I ended each episode at a save point. In this one, I think that's just not going to happen anymore because there's so many times when you have a battle, then you wander around the world map, then there's another battle, so it's just much easier to break episodes up by using save states. So yeah, this is another one where we stopped right for a battle. We rescued Elric, this is this elfie guy right here, from a harpy who had trapped him in the harpy's pool and was going to eat him. And now that we've got him at our side, he knows the way to Creed's mansion, which is just on the left of this desert you saw earlier. Unfortunately, we've got a horde of monsters in our way before we can go see Creed. And they are all quite... Wow, this is interesting. Little pause here. In the previous game, elves, like we had Hans, if you remember, and Diane, they had boosted movement in the forest. That is clearly not the case for Elric, who has crap movement in the forest, apparently. So I'm surprised. I wasn't expecting that to be different between the two games. But anyway, the enemies on this map are, not only are there a lot of them, they're quite tough. These harpies and orcs, they have so much defense, and that skeleton is bonkers as well. That's a new enemy in this map, and oh my goodness, it's really strong. Luckily, Peter is here to help us. But yeah, this is going to be a challenging battle, and unfortunately, I do think it's also going to be a little bit of a boring battle, mainly because most of the map is desert, so there's going to be a lot of, like, very slowly walking places, because we can't get anywhere. Oh no, the skeleton is attacking. This sprite looks pretty intimidating too. Look at that, that did more than half his health. That's like 2 hits and he died. That thing is really ridiculously strong. It's got 40 defense, I don't think we're gonna do much. Yeah, this thing is... Dang, like, I feel like maybe it's a little over-tuned. I'm gonna try out Blast 3 on it. I think we're gonna have to use magic just because its defense is so high. That helped a lot. That helped a lot. Man, I guess those enemies, like, that's the game's intention. It's like, this enemy, basically, you have to kill with magic. Oh, this map, you know what else is making this map hard is the harpies can reach us really easily. There's no obstacles, it's just a big open map. I feel like there's no point in having Chester even attack. He's just gonna do, like, no damage. Because his attack is 42, so he could do 2 damage to that thing. Not that he did much more here, but... Oh, and I got a counter and we're poisoned. This is... this is a little frustrating. I think she can actually finish the guy off, though. The reason this map, I think, is a little frustrating so far is mainly because it's just a big empty field, basically a big empty sand pit. It's not like we can have a lot of strategy to, like, how to deal with these enemies or block them off. It's like, oh, well, they'll just walk at us and we'll be surrounded because what else are we gonna do? And when they're so powerful that they can, like, two-shot a lot of our characters, and it will take us, like, four hits maybe for each one, depending on which characters we're attacking with to kill them, that means that we're, like, at high risk of losing characters and there's not a ton we can do about it. And we're dodging now. It basically just makes the map annoying, but in a way where I don't feel like, oh, there's a strategy I can come up with to, like, reduce the level of annoyance. It's just like, no, this is just annoying. Because legit, like I said with the last map, which was also tricky, but I really enjoyed it a lot, because I felt like it was more like, oh, I have to make the correct decision about how to proceed to the map. Whereas this is just like, I guess we'll just hit these guys a lot. This should finish up the orc, and we can kill the harpy, then we'll have finished this little initial wave, and then we can heal up a bit, I guess. And then we'll just walk forwards until we get the next wave. If the map was more interesting, like this was the first section and we had to get to the next section or something, I'd be more into it, but it's just like, yeah, we're just gonna walk across this field. Boring. He has a power ring now, so he should at least be able to do a bit. Let me make sure. So he should be able to do it now. Good job, Rick. That power ring really helped you. Without it, you couldn't have done that. Okay, so we cleared that initial rush of enemies, and now I guess we'll... I kind of I don't really want to walk into the hobgoblins, because that is probably going to just get us killed. I gotta cure that guy. Yeah, we'll let them come to us. Oh, and the desert, like, reduced our maneuverability so much that, again, it's like, this is irritating. I think I'll detox him just so I'm not dealing with this for the friggin' rest of the map, because it will just annoy me. I know I could be healing people instead, but long term this will reduce the amount of damage he's taking every turn. It adds up. It's 2 damage every turn he gets, so... The desert maps also suck because you have to cross them and it's slow as hell. Man, Elric also is really slow. He just has not even joined the fight yet. Yay. It's just gonna take us so long to actually get our dudes up there to attack. You can use Blaze. Honestly, I think I actually will use Blaze 3 because I'll save 1 for that final skeleton, but like, for fighting the witches and healers, our melee fighters will be able to do a good bit of damage, whereas here, they'll actually struggle to do a lot of damage, so the magic is more useful against the orcs. Man, Geralt is really good. Well, the arrow launcher is also a bit of a weak enemy now. We've surpassed it. Our guy's in position. He's not gonna do a whole hell of a lot, but, you know, that way the next person can get the KO. They do so much damage too, like that's the thing that sucks. They just really just tear chunks out of our dudes, and we can't kill them that much faster than we're going. Like, it's really hard to damage them. Oh, actually, you know what I think is going on here, now that I think of it, and which is going to be a problem for quite some time, so prepare for frustration, pals. Although, okay, I'll say I don't know if this is what's happening yet. I don't know how different mechanically this is from the first game. But we could promote if we wanted. We're at a high enough level that the game would let us. So I don't know if the game is sort of designed around the assumption that you have in fact promoted your characters by now. Or at least that you've started promoting them, and you have some. I'm having her attack instead of heal just because killing this guy as quick as we can will spare us a lot more damage than 1 heal. Hang in there, Sarah. We got this guy out. He does a lot. Oh, Elric can get his first attack and hopefully his first kill. Go, Elric, go! Wow, his outfit is amazingly silly. I like the archer outfit from the first game much better, honestly. That just does not look very good. I'm sorry, I like some of the sprites in this game, but that one, no. But yeah, anyway, in the first game, it wasn't a stats issue. They kind of, you know, tapered off eventually. You stopped getting more as you, like, got really close to the cap, but, you know, when you promoted, your stats actually went down because we were so much over the cap. So it wasn't an issue of stats, but, oh, Geralt is kind of off by himself here. This can be tricky. I didn't expect the Harpy to just get super aggressive all of a sudden because it was kind of wandering around before that. But, yeah, in the previous game, there are weapons that only the promoted classes can use, and we got to a part of the game where basically the game was assuming you were using those weapons, which, you know, were quite useful, so the enemies were kind of designed around that assumption. So it got a bit tricky to delay promotion. Although I guess I would say, you know, the other issue is that then when you did promote, your stats went down, and, like, you were now weaker than what the game thought you should be because you waited so long. You know, the game was like, oh, you should have several levels under your belt after promoting, and it was like, oh, well, we waited, so we don't. So it's possible we're hitting that point, we're getting towards that point now where we're intended to get a notable power boost soon, possibly with new weapons that we could use if we were promoted, but we're not going to because we're going to wait. So we could have some tricky battles ahead. Man, Slade, you did almost no damage there. That was strange. Oh, it's because the desert has land effect. God, that just makes desert maps suck even more. If you have 30% land effect, that means that, like, the amount of damage that you're taking is like, you get a defensive bonus. So the amount of damage both we and enemies take is reduced, which makes us take forever. But it's even worse for fighting magic users because obviously that doesn't apply to magic. It has fixed damage, so dang! What a place to put magic using enemies. Luckily Ben is just so strong. Oh, seriously? Man, friggin' desert. And because of the desert, it's also really hard to get our dudes in position to attack. Well, at least Slade can move well on desert. There we go. Alright, we're making our way through this. It's taking a bit of time, but what can you do? It's a slow map. So I think other than that harpy that Peter and Geralt are working on, this is the last enemy group we're dealing with. So we'll just start heading over. And now we've reached the part of this map where we walk. But at least we have 2 Blaze 3s handy from Kazan, so, you know, we'll be able to use that against the skeleton and all. That'll be very helpful. Okay, Geralt that may be the end of his fight here, because it's going to take him a really long time to get anywhere. Peter can catch up because he can fly. Geralt cannot fly. So he'll be stuck walking. Oh, that's... I'm actually kind of like, you know, I think I'm going to play it more cautious with her heal. And, like, not heal Kazan, who's probably not going to... Well, hopefully I'll keep him out of melee. Because I think I want to make sure I have Blast available for her to use on the skeleton. Just because the skeleton, with 40 defense, it's quite tough for a lot of our characters to deal damage. Like, even say Jaha has a good attack, but still only 46 attacks. That's like 6 damage. And the skeleton hits really hard. So we can't afford to just be standing there letting him wail on us. And Sarah's Blast 3, it's like, normally it would not be what I would use her MP for. Even if he dies, whatever. He could die of the poison, basically, if this takes a long time. You know, normally I would be using her MP for healing, because Blast, for the amount that it costs, it's not necessarily great damage. But, in this case, where we have an enemy that is so tanky that magic is kind of our only recourse, it's really nice to have it. Especially since right now we just have one mage, Kazan. We don't have any backup. So, you know, having Sarah there as kind of a pinch hitter mage is really good. Sorry, Geralt. I'll have him use one of his healing items if his health gets like so low that he'll bust it. This is tricky because I kind of want to separate those enemies, right? I'm gonna heal Rick just because he is more likely to be in melee and he could literally die in one hit. That skeleton, all of that damage was from one encounter with the skeleton. I don't want to fight all 3 of those enemies simultaneously, so ideally I'd like, say, yeah, there we go. I'd like one of them to come closer. Unfortunately, it's very hard to lure the magic users closer without, well, taking a hit from their spells. So, ouch. But at least now we can kind of start the fight here. But it's really hard to get my position. Because this way, if we can kind of lure one of them away, we can deal with them a little more one at a time. Nice, Jaha. Very nice. And not get in a position where, like, we're trying to fight the skeleton and he does a ton of damage to us, and then the magic user cleans up and also does a ton of damage, which would be pretty bad. Ideally, we'll also be able to take out the priest before we face the skeleton, because we don't want that priest healing the skeleton. Absolutely don't want that. Just wasting all of our hard work, it would suck. Well, she can heal Peter and still have room for 1 Blast 3, and Kazan's got 2 Blaze 3, so I think with all of the rest of our fighters, I think that'll be enough. I just want to make sure that, you know, we're playing a little cautiously here. I'm hoping we can lure that priest over. I'm not sure how much movement the skeleton has. A lot! Turns out it's a lot. I thought the desert would deter him a bit more. Fuck! Heavy attack. But seriously, like, that skeleton is just ultra dangerous. Because, like, 27 damage in 1 hit? I know it was a critical, but even so. That's just like any chip damage and you're done. Oh, but the problem is the priest is just gonna get his turn and waste all this. We gotta get people over to that priest, but... Or he's gonna use blast. This is bad. Oh. We have an enemy that can kill us with any chip damage, and we have a mage to do chip damage. This is... And a mage that we cannot very quickly kill, also. Like, he's tanky enough that we have to whittle him down. This is tough. But again, I honestly don't feel that it is tough in a way that is strategic, because... Like, I tried to lure the priest out, and it was just hard to gain distance, because it doesn't show you, like, the movement and terrain penalties and stuff. But thanks to Kazin doing a lot of damage with Blaze 3, we can just destroy the skeleton. Mages are really good. But yeah, I'm like, to me that was not really interesting, mostly because it's like, we just gotta kill this guy, and they're standing together, so there's nothing we can do about that. It's difficult, but it's not strategic. Anyway, Adler says, "Hurry, let's go into Creed's mansion." Adler, can you see? No, why? You're moving around as if you can see. Am I? Maybe my other senses have sharpened since I lost my sight. Oh, I see. He doesn't. Ben, let's go see Mr. Creed. Lots of seeing. I'm assuming that this is like, you know, suggesting that there's something mysterious about Adler, but as a side note, in real life, Adler's only been blind for like, what, a week, so it's a little surprising, but in real life, there are people who are blind, who can move around pretty freely and not bang into things or anything like that, using like facial sense and like stuff and their hearing. So there are actually blind people who can like stroll about and, you know, not necessarily using a cane. So like that's not necessarily that far-fetched. I once read about this guy who was blind wrote about like different stuff, but he like repaired his entire roof by himself. He just had like he could his mental imagery was so strong that he could visualize what it looked like and where everything was, so that he could keep track of it. And he wrote about how his neighbors were really alarmed because he would work on it at night, because like to him it doesn't matter if it's night or day, right? He can't see, so it doesn't matter if it's dark. But his neighbors were sort of alarmed to see this blind guy up alone on the roof of his house at night, even though, as he pointed out, to him the night doesn't matter. But he did the whole thing. So here, clearly this is meant to imply that something is not quite right, but just as a side note, it's not actually implausible. Anyway, let's go find that one mithril. It's up here somewhere. Here it is. Yay, mithril! There's only 15 pieces of mithril in the entire game, so we're making good progress on them. If you remember the dry stone that we collected in that dwarf mine, the thing that we found in the campfire, that will be necessary to get us to the dwarf who will make us mithril stuffler. And again, it was an item where there was no indication there was something there other than just mashing A on every square that's unusual. So again, it's like game. Just why? It's a quite important item. Oh, I completely forgot about the protect ring and the broadsword. Whatever, I don't even give a shit. That battle was annoying and I didn't care about it. Also, real talk, I feel that now that we have the caravan, we shouldn't need an open inventory slot to get dropped items. That's... Alright, so this is Creed's mansion. It's quite a fancy looking place. Oh, can I use magic out of battle? Because maybe... Can we... Detox? Yeah, just to clear up... Oh, I forgot that Slade died. Okay, there is a battle coming up, so I'm gonna go back and heal, and hopefully that won't force us to refight anything. Can I just use egress? Because I want to make sure that, you know, we have Slade alive for this battle. Wow, I completely forgot Ben even had Bolt 1 because I've never used it. Because I know that there will be a battle, but I don't know if we'll have an opportunity to res peeps before that battle. Oh, I don't really have another desire. I'm good. Okay. This puts us back quite a ways. I wish I should have saved my game at the... I hope this isn't going to force us to refight anything, because we have changed maps. I should have saved my game in Elf Town. I ended up not doing it because I was like, I don't need to save yet. Because, oh right, I have to go around the other way. Oh, if I have to refight this battle, I will just pause the recording. Or well, end the recording and then do it, because... Can we stop refighting this battle? Real talk, can we just never have to do it again? Because, like, I just want to be able to travel between these areas. This is the third time we're fighting the battle. I'm just gonna... I have like 10 minutes anyway, so... I'll just record for 10 minutes, and if the battle's not over, I'll just finish it not on screen, and then get us back to Creed's Mansion for next time. Ugh, this is so annoying. I kind of thought it would teleport me back to Elf Town, you know? I'm not sure if it's like getting in the raft that did it. I honestly have no idea. But I'm just like, why isn't this battle just removed? We already beat it. Like, there's plenty of battles in the game. There's really no need to have this one stick around so we can grind or whatever. It's just annoying. Because we have to go through this area to get to the section of the map where the elf village and all is. So I'm just like, man, I should have just walked back to the elf village. I was like, I'll save time, but instead I have only caused myself to waste more time. On the plus side, we have now leveled up a bit, so this battle is not really tough anymore. In fact, as you can see, quite a few of these enemies no longer appear in battles because we've just sort of left them behind. They're too weak now. We haven't fought any golems or black monks in a while. We've got new enemies instead. You know, if we could fucking hit this guy, I know we're in the desert, so it gives him a evade boost, but that's 3 people who attacked him and none of us hit him. It's just fucking annoying. Like, I just want to finish this battle so I can get back to the part of the game where there's something going on. And this isn't even a battle with a boss. You have to kill every monster. And it's on a desert, so it's gonna take 1,000 years. Never just use Blast. Now that my healer can cast attack spells, I just want to use them all the time. Another golem. I just have nothing interesting to say about this battle because this is the 3rd time I fought this battle. I just don't think this is a good design for a game. Well, at least after I finish recording for today, I have kimchi fried rice to look forward to because I cooked it yesterday, so now I can reheat it and enjoy. I do think I have a very low spice tolerance, like compared to my friends who are like, one of my friends has such a high spice tolerance that she could probably eat one of those ghost peppers and be fine. Her spice tolerance is just off the charts. But mine is not. So to other people, my kimchi fried rice would probably not taste very spicy, but to me I'm like, shoot, I think I made this slightly too spicy. See, last time I made kimchi fried rice, I used bacon, well, vegan bacon, but which was really tasty. But this time I had some sweet and sour tofu around, so I threw that in. But it's a teeny bit spicy. And also, the kimchi had aged more in my fridge, so the flavor was more intense. So it's like, it's good, it tastes really good, but it's also like, whoa, need water. I also put a bunch of bean sprouts in. I friggin' love bean sprouts. But yeah, as annoying as this battle is, at least I can look forward to... I'm kind of like debating how long to wait before I assemble the cake. Because I'm like, you know, the more time it has to sit in assembled form, the more risk you have of the cream deteriorating. And the other thing is that it's a cream filling, right? It's not just a frosting, so you have the weight of the top layer and stuff pushing down on it, which can also liquefy it a bit. So if it just has to sit like that all night, it's tough. But I'm also like, I mean, it has to sit at regardless. It's like, I'm gonna bring it in tomorrow and it's gonna be for the afternoon. So what can one do? I'm like, oh, how long should I wait to make it? I also just, you know, I want to make it in a timely manner so I'm not up all night baking things. Gotta get up at 6 a.m. tomorrow. Oh, I really want this cake to turn out well. But it's, you know, you try your best, but you don't always succeed. And then, this is like a busy week of baking for me, because tomorrow I'm actually probably going to bake again, because my gaming group is meeting up this weekend, and I want to bring something. So I'm going to try a recipe that I tried once in the past and it was like okay, but I was like, I think I can make this better than I previously did. I can tweak it a little. I found this great recipe for these cinnamon roll cookies, vegan ones. I have a buddy in my gaming group who's vegan and loves cinnamon rolls, which I have a great vegan version of, but I was like, you know, cinnamon rolls are kind of messy and you gotta bring out plates and stuff, so while you're sitting around the gaming table, you know, playing tabletop games, we're playing D&D, you know, you don't necessarily want something that's gonna be all over your hands and you gotta get out stuff for it. So I was like, what about a cookie that's like cinnamon roll flavored? So I found a good recipe, but last time I had trouble getting them to the roll to stay tight to keep the cinnamon roll shape, because the dough was just like super sticky, so I had trouble getting it to roll up properly. So I'm like, I could tweak it a little. So I'm hoping to try that again. I may make a double batch and then I can bring them in for the second person's defense. We have 2 defenses in a row, tomorrow and the next day. So this could be like the week where I baked 3 days out of 5 of my weekdays. This week was hardcore. This is honestly a good time of year to be baking, because in the winter when it's absolutely freezing cold, especially in my kitchen, in some parts of my house it'll be boiling hot because the radiator turns on, but the kitchen does not have one, and it's got 2 windows. That it's an old house, so you know they can be a little drafty. So it's chilly in the kitchen, and for certain types of things that can be bad, you know, for like mixing batters and stuff if it's too cold. But you also don't want them to be too hot, and in the height of the summer, oh man, it's so hard to make anything because everything just melts. It's so freaking hot. So this time of year, when it's like, it's cool but not super cold and it's not hot yet, that is a very nice time to be making things in my non-temperature controlled kitchen. We're earning no X from this. This is like just a waste of my time. And also the viewer's time, but I figured, you know, I have to round out this episode anyway. I had 10 minutes to spare, so... Maybe I'll, like, just go over time a little just so we can walk back to Creed's. If we have to refight any other battles, I'll do that off camera. I'm hoping this will be the only one, but I can't guarantee that, sadly. But yeah, a couple years back, when one person... We have a lot of students in our lab, obviously, so one person graduated and was going to be leaving. So I made a cake for her, and her favorite cake is like a white cake with French buttercream frosting. Let me tell you something, friends. That was in the summer, because she you know, stayed on to work a little during the summer until she got into her master's program. I was gonna leave for that. So it was like 80% humidity and like still so hot, even late into the night. And trying to make French buttercream frosting, which is a cooked frosting, so it's temperature sensitive. Basically, you need it to emulsify. And it was just, oh my god, it was so difficult. It was just like painful. I'm just standing there. I was standing with I have a hand mixer, not a stand mixer, you know, so I was standing there for like literally an hour and a half trying to get it to emulsify properly. My arm was so tired from holding the mixer. I was just like, why is it this hot and humid? The humidity, honestly, was what really killed it there. Humidity is really bad when you're baking. You do not want the place you're baking to be super humid, because everything just starts to melt. It gets slimy. Nothing stays at like the right consistency. The living in an old house in Boston that doesn't have like AC and things like that, or heat that you can control because it's just a radiator, makes baking something of an adventure. And obviously the other bad thing is you gotta turn on the oven if you're baking, so it's like your house is just getting so hot. But But, you know, that's it's a fun hobby, though, so I put up with all of that. Honestly, it's because, you know, my day job is a researcher. Most of what I do is data analysis, so you're doing something that's pretty abstract. So it's kind of fun to have a hobby where it's a little more concrete. You're making something with your hands, you know, you're not just creating models that are running. So it's kind of a nice change of pace for me. It's kind of tough, though, because, you know, living in a shared apartment, you know, kitchen space is obviously always at a premium. And I have, like, all this baking stuff. I have, like, pans and, like, different implements and stuff. Like, specialty things. I have to find space for all my junk. You can, honestly, I feel like this is a good indicator of when this game's battle design is boring, is when I start rambling on about baking things or, like, about my job. Things that have nothing to do with the game. Because it's like, this is just a map in the desert where you just walk forwards, and we already did it. Are there seriously still 2 enemies left? Just like, and that thing is moving away from us in a desert map where we can get to it easily. Arrgh. I'm just like, just walk over here so I can kill you, please. This is not a difficult fight at this point. Oh, Peter, you're so useful. He honestly is like one of the best party members right now. He can fly, so he's super mobile. He has a good amount of HP, and he's not like... He's not tanky, but he's not horribly fragile. And he has so much attack. 58 attack, very nice. And how fast is he? So he's not, like... He's not our slowest party member, definitely. He's pretty good, actually, yeah. He's decently fast. So he's just, like... He's an all-around success. And when he dies, he just comes back, so he never costs us money. And he doesn't even need a weapon, so we never, like, have him falling behind in equipment, ever. He's so good! I wonder if they made him really good in part because, like, he's a plot character, he does so much of the... And especially because the main character doesn't really talk, he's the silent protagonist style. Peter does a lot of the talking and is sort of the spokesman of the party. So I wonder if they made him really good so that you'd like him, since you have to have him in cutscenes all the time, that way you'd actually be attached to him. Because in games, if a character is really useless, even if they're like an interesting character, sometimes you're still kind of annoyed at them because, you know, during the gameplay portions, it's like, stop being useless. So when they're really strong, it makes you like them better. Okay, we're a little over 30 minutes, but I'll just finish this up, and then hopefully we can just walk straight to Creed's Mansion, and if we run into any other battles, I'll just break the episode and we'll cut the gate in Creed's Mansion next time. Hope you all had fun hearing about this cake I'm gonna make the filling for. In the next episode, I need to report on, like, how it went. Although I gotta say, making cookies will be time-consuming enough that I probably won't be able to record tomorrow because I'll have to do that, which is a bit of an endeavor. Because you have to... The thing is with the cake, once you make the batter, you're just putting it in a pan and baking it. But when you, I'm also gonna save the game in Elf Village so that we'll at least be able to go back here if we egress. I should have done this before. But yeah, you know, when you're making cake, you just put it in a pan, so the only time involved is making the batter and then making it. But with cookies, you make a dough, but then, or a batter, depending on the type of cookie, you know, it depends. But then you have to shape them into the individual cookies, and especially for this, a recipe which involves rolled up and cut out cookies, you know, it's cinnamon roll shape. There's a lot of labor involved in making them above and beyond the dough itself, which is not necessarily that difficult to make. It's just the actually putting them together, the assembly stage is just quite a thing. And then you know, with a cake, you take it out of the oven and it's done and you cool it off and put it in the thing. With cookies, oh good, we're not gonna have to refight that. So why the fuck does that... Other battles apparently don't do this. Why does that one battle make us refight it? I don't understand. Is that like just an error? Was it not meant to do that? Because it really sticks out that it doesn't do that for any of the others. But yeah, you know, when you take them out of the oven, you also have to find places to put them all and individually cool them and individually decorate them. So it's one of those things where, like, you would not necessarily think making cookies. I wouldn't say making cookies is harder than making a cake, but it can be more. There can be more labor involved. Okay, so this is 35 minutes. So, let's at least see the cutscene. Here we are at Creed's mansion. Is that Creed? Holy shit! Dude, he's awesome! He has a pirate hat! Oh, I was annoyed at this game for making me refight that battle, but all is forgiven now. We know he's a greater devil, so I assume that's why he's purple, because some of the, like, clouds and stuff we've seen, there's a couple that were purplish looking. But I don't know why he's dressed as a pirate. Anyway, you may go now. I need to talk to the fairy. Or to fairy, it's just called fairy. Yes, sir. Maybe this is the guy who went to get the help. Dum-de-dum-dum. Oh, time to check the collections. Servant Goliath unlocks the door. Huh. Excuse me? Yo! That guy is very easily startled. Yes? We've come to see Mr. Creed. My master. Do you have an appointment? A what? Peter's like, we live in the medieval times. Who the hell has appointments? No, not yet, but... I'm sorry, but he's busy now. Please come back later. We can't see Mr. Creed now. No kidding. Author is delightful, because he's blind. Remember, Peter goes, we can't see Mr. Creed, and he's like, yeah, no kidding. I was never going to be able to see him. Author, you are great. Ben, Peter, let's force our way into the room. Wow, Author, this is escalating quickly. All he said was wait until later, and you're like, let's get in there. Author, you're getting bold. But it is a good idea. Nobody thinks it would be a good idea to just, like, maybe wait until he's free. Like, we need this guy to help us. If we bust our way into his room, he might not want to. Let's go. This seems like a poor idea. How did he do that? You impolite kids, you can't go in. Mr. Creed is too busy. Go away. Like, wouldn't it make more sense for us to just explain that it's an emergency? You know, like, oh, a person is like, sick and wounded, and we need his advice, or whatever. Like, or tell him that, like, the Xeon was resurrected and the world's gonna be destroyed. We need your help. I mean, I feel like immediately trying to beat up his servant is not the optimal way to get in here. This seems very stupid. Ben, on our left, that door might lead to Mr. Creed. Let's ditch this guy and go through that door. Ben, let's do it. I don't want to fail now. They haven't seemed to get that that's not going to work because this guy can fucking teleport. Okay, we give up. We'll see Mr. Creed later. Let's get out of here. Yeah, maybe later. I guess we're like trying to trick him. No, don't go in there. That door is... We brought this on ourselves, I must say. He told us not to do that, and then we immediately did it. What stupid kids. Whoever passes through this magic door becomes small. That is, anybody who's not protected by Mr. Creed. Goliath picks up Ben. Now you're part of the collection. Yes, so that's what happens in Mr. Creed's mansion. He has a door that if you try to break in there, it turns you to miniature size, and then he puts you in this little, like, diorama land on his desktop. What happened? A strange feeling swept over me when I entered that door. Then it felt like I was lifted upward. It's very difficult to explain what's happened to us. Anyway, we're very small now. I don't think it's difficult to explain at all. He miniaturized us. We own a vehicle that does the exact same thing. This is not new to our characters. Small? How small? Let's see. Now we're on a desk, and it's very large, like a village. So I guess it's the size of, like, a thimble. Exactly. That voice would be so loud because we're tiny. It's like, exactly! It's coming from above. Goliath! Hey, what did you do to us? Honestly, nothing. We did it to ourselves. I told you not to go in there. You didn't listen to my warning. You guys look so cute. Haha. Bye, little kitties. Although, to be fair, it's also super evil to just imprison people in this crazy-ass kingdom, so there's a lot of stupid things going on here. Ben, cheer up. Let's look around this desktop kingdom. I agree. We can meet Creed later. Who's this? Are you from the outside? Why did you come here? Oh, mistake, I see. I suggest you see King Pompey. He's a good man. So enough people have gotten trapped in Creed's desktop kingdom that they've formed like their own government. This is amazing. So I'll just make a save there. Yeah, this will be all for now. I'll just pause here because it's been like 40 minutes. So we fought our way across a battle that was unnecessary. Anyway, we finally got back to Creed's mansion. Unfortunately, when we got there, a servant told us that he was busy, and if we didn't have an appointment, we'd have to wait to see him. And instead of doing something like waiting patiently, or maybe explaining that it was an emergency and why we had to see him, our friends Peter and Adler immediately decided to try to just beat up the servant and force their way in spite of the fact that they are a bird and a little boy. So that didn't seem like a very good idea. And when this failed, we decided to break into a door that the servant told us not to touch. And when that happened, we discovered that the door had a spell on it that makes anyone who passes through shrink. And now we're trapped in a kingdom that's been founded on a desktop and is full of people who have been shrunk to miniature size and imprisoned here. So remember when I said last episode that this time we were going to get back to the absolute wacky, crazy things, just like off-the-wall nuts? Here we are. We are in the desktop kingdom, and it's just as crazy as you'd think it is. I knew that we'd get to the desktop kingdom, but I didn't know how. So I'm actually amazed at the degree to which it was 100% our fault. This wasn't like an outright malicious attack by Creed. We did this to ourselves through stupidity and by attacking his servant in his own house. So I mostly blame Adler and Peter for this. Ben was just standing there. But anyway, that was this episode. In the next episode, we're going to explore this desktop kingdom and see if we can find a way to make our escape. It's probably going to be pretty awesome. I'm very excited to see what this is like. So look forward to that. Until then, this has been Shining Force 2.